Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us Jamie Bosse, who's the author of Money Boss Mom, helping young parents be the boss of their financial future. Jamie, welcome to the program.
Hi there. Thanks so much.
Hey, I'm really excited to talk to you because I love talking with authors and love talking with people that focus on kids. I've got four, and I know right before we started talking, you've got four as well. So we kind of talk about kids because, boy, like the old 80s song, you know, children are our future, and it really is the case. So I love your focus on the kids. But before we get talking about your books, give us a little bit of your background and your entrepreneurial and author journey.
All right. Well, I am Jamie Bosse, and I am a financial planner by trade and recently got into the author space starting in 2018. So I've written a couple of children's books around financial literacy topics to help making teaching money about kids or teaching money to kids a little easier on parents. And then just recently published Money Boss Mom, which is focused on helping young parents be the boss of their financial future. So getting the right systems in place for financial freedom and managing all the balancing act and priorities that come with being a parent.
Yeah, you know, I think that is, I love that because you're taught in marketing, and I've got an MBA in marketing and I teach marketing. And one of the big things you teach is find out who your best customer target audience is. And if you own a car dealership, your target audience is not anyone who drives a car. You've got to be precise. So I love that you focus on young families. What made you think of young families as a target audience other than, you know, you have one? But the question that comes to my mind is from a financial planner standpoint, it seems like that's the long play because this is not focusing on, you know, people that have $20 billion in assets to invest. So let me talk to them. Young families might not have as much cash flow for investing, but yet you're focusing on them as a way to give back and serve, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they might not have as much money to invest right now, but I think by me working with them when they're in this position and building wealth and growing their families, growing their careers, I think they'll be excellent clients in the future. You know, as you said, it's kind of playing the long game where if we can get them set on the right path now, you know, they will be ideal clients, you know, in 5-10 years. And I think my passion with helping parents comes from, you know, my own situation where I've been a financial planner since college, but once I started having kids and living through some of the things that you have to adjust to with, you know, okay, now I have to pay the same amount of my mortgage to my daycare provider. How do I fit that into my budget? Now, you know, the life insurance I have is much more important, and we need to nail down how much that is. And having an estate plan is so much more important when you're a parent. So the stakes are just so much higher. And if there's, you know, a way I can help people get through this kind of crazy phase of life and be positioned well to grow their family wealth and protect that family wealth, you know, I'm really excited to be a part of that.
So what is some of your tips that you would tell, you know, parents of young families? You know, like a tactical thing. And here's where I'm thinking here is invariably someone's going to get a different job, new job, or a raise, and their standard of living could, you know, go up, and you just swallow up that increase. So what are some things that you would recommend to say, okay, we got to keep that end in mind, you know, college is going to be here around the corner, or whatever the case is. So what are some things that you teach your clients around that?
Yeah, so kind of that lifestyle creep that you're mentioning there, a lot of times when clients do increase their income with, you know, bonuses, raises, things like that, which is pretty typical around the age group that I'm working with because they're generally in their 40s and under. And so this is when a lot of the big career moves happen. So when these things happen with a big increase in income, I like to have people separate it out, right? So increase your lifestyle some if you're not currently happy where your lifestyle is,
Mm-hmm.
but don't swallow all of it up. Be cognizant of, okay, so now I got a 5% raise. I'm going to bump up my 401k contribution 3% more than it is now. And then I'll, keep the rest to increase my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of swallowing it all up.
That's a really good point, because I think that if you're too focused on, the end, whatever that end might be, retirement or college or whatever, and now you are never getting new clothes, and now you wear shoes with holes in them, or you eat beans and rice, or whatever the case is, just never letting yourself enjoy that. Well, now it becomes a drudgery. And so, don't swallow that up all at once. So have a little bit of balance, take a little bit, like, okay, hey, that extra little bit, I feel good because I'm putting more into whatever the case is. But now we're going to once a month go out as a family, and that's going to be our splurge and things like that. That's a really, really good point. What about people that say, doggone, that sounds wonderful, but I don't ever have those little lifestyle bumps?
Yeah, so if you are, working with a limited income sources, you have to understand, what's coming in and what's going out every month. Managing that cash flow each month becomes more and more important. And I would argue too, if you, aren't having increases, why not? Is there a different career path for you, or something else you can be doing career-wise to increase your skill set or move up to the next level? Because a lot of times, your ability to generate income and grow your income is one of your biggest assets, in this age group, because that's when, some of the magic happens career-wise. So looking for other opportunities, are there other ways you can increase your income or move up the ladder to help make that a little easier? Yeah,
that's really, really important to think about, because we should always, I love how Tony Robbins teaches the concept of CANI, CANI, which is constant and never-ending improvement. So maybe you should have something like a side hustle, or maybe you should be taking self-improvement courses to improve your career. You sent me a copy of your book, and I really appreciate that. And one of your first chapters is Money is a Tool, Not a Goal. And I love the title there, because, boy, if you have the wrong mindset about money, and I think mindset is a really great word for how to use money. It's a tool. It's not the end all be all, because we see a lot of rich people that aren't happy. So talk a little bit about how money is a tool, not a goal.
Yeah, so we're not just, making money just to have more money. We don't say, I need more money so I can have more money. It's more, I need more money so I can, take my kids to Disney World. I need more money so that I can retire early and travel the world. I need more money so I can do XYZ. It's not necessarily like just money. And, once you can create a lifestyle that you're happy with and can kind of live within the money that you have and what you've created, I think more money isn't always going to be a great thing. It's more figuring out, what are your goals? What's your lifestyle that you want to live? And how do we get there with what you have now and what you can create in the future?
Yeah. And I think that having that, again, kind of reminds me of Simon Sinek, it starts with your why, and having that why and that end goal then predicates what you do with that money, because if money is the tool, it helps you get where. And why is that important? So that's huge. And when you're talking about, young families, there is a big WHY with all caps, right? So, you've written a couple books specifically focused on the kids, and they're, kids books, with big pages and big pictures. And so here's the one thing that pops in my mind. While it is excellent little teaching topics about money, what type of conversations have you been hearing back from parents when they read these books with and to the kids? What kind of conversations are they having with their kids about money? Because it certainly isn't the rate of return on whatever in IRAs, that kind of thing.
You're exactly right. Yeah. So, some of the feedback I get is just how interesting it is that the kids are very into money and want to know how they can earn it and they want to be in charge of spending it and taking it to the store and, having some autonomy with the money. So I've heard that in feedback, and you're right. We're not talking about, intense financial topics. Some of the things I cover in one of the books is just identifying coins and their value, understanding that money is earned by working, and kind of the concept that you have to wait and save sometimes to get what you want instead of just being able to buy everything right away. So they're really simple life lesson kind of topics, but the earlier you get some of these habits in place and some of these concepts down, I think, the more financially secure their lives will be.
Yeah. Well, because then it lays a foundation of a habit. And I think that sometimes people make financial mistakes in some cases because they just never knew. But in other cases, like I will tell you, I grew up in a family where the word credit card was a dirty word. It was like, don't ever get into debt, credit card debt and all of that. And I understood it logically. But yet when I got out on my own at whatever age, when I, moved out and bought a house and all that, I'm like, okay, I didn't even consciously think of this, but I know that looking back, I was going, well, I lived with my parents all these years and look at all the stuff they have. So I guess I need whatever, big TV and all of a sudden now here come these credit card bills and it's like, oh, that's not good. So I think that teaching kids from an early age will lay that good foundation. What are some of the tactics that you hear parents working with their kids on related to money from either a growth or a savings perspective? Like as an example, hey, let's not leave all the lights on in the house because it, will increase our expenses for the power. Do you get that granular or no?
I don't in the books, but I think those are good money conversations to have with people because it's important for the kids to understand, what life costs. Like our house costs money to live here, and it costs money to keep those lights on. And, when we run all the bath water, it costs money to have that water coming into our house. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think also just kind of being able to, understand that money is finite, right? So we make some money and now we can go spend it, but we have some choices to make, right? So we can't buy everything. Do we, how much do we need to spend on what we need? And then what are some of these things that we want and how can we save up, to buy those things? Yeah.
So then in your teachings, do you move like I'm sure that you would teach your clients, hey, there's the, building stage of building up your career and money. And then there's the thriving stage where you've, earned what you want and now you can give back. What about with kids? Do you ever have a teaching, or do you feel it's important to say, hey, like the old book, Richest Man in Babylon, let's take some percent and give it to some needy causes or whatever that maybe the family has chosen?
Yeah, in my second kid's book, Milton the Money Savvy Pup Makes Saving a Habit, we talk about the concept of when you get paid, you don't spend it all. There, in the book, the dog Milton, the main character, he has 3 jars. He has a give, save, and spend jar. So then every time you get paid, you should put some money into the give jar to give to charity or your church or, people who need it more than you. And then put some into savings for kind of the future or a rainy day. And then some into your spend jar that you can, spend however you please. So this helps kids kind of conceptualize the concept because they can see it, right? So they have 3 separate jars, and then, that save jar, they can put money in there and they can watch it build. And so when they, if they want some big expensive toy, showing them that, okay, if you do your chores every week, we'll put more money into this jar, and then in 3 weeks, you'll have enough to buy the toy if you don't spend it between now and then.
Yeah. What about, do you ever find parents teaching their kids these things and going, okay, we want to, save for this thing, this whatever bigger cost thing. And now it's going to take, maybe doing this work to earn this, to save up for. But yet, even though you really want this big thing, remember, we have to give this certain percentage here. So now we've got this balance laid out. But do you ever find the parents where the kids kind of get savvy and go, hey, can I just get it now and then I'll pay it back. I'll do extra work for you. Because that now becomes laying a different foundation of either being creative or laying a foundation of, playing with credit.
For sure, yeah. So I think you can have those conversations about kind of going into debt or credit. I think having that habit, though, of like, okay, I got some money. Now, I got $5 for my chores. $1 always goes to giving, and I'm going to put that in the offering plate at church this week. And then, $1 always goes into save, and then the rest I can spend. Just getting into the habit of we can't spend everything we get every time we get it, I think is a really important concept to hammer home, so that they're not, living on the edge of credit, forever. And I think, teaching these habits when they're young and the stakes are so much lower, you almost want them to make mistakes and, learn from them now, so they don't have to have that same mistake later on when the cost is higher.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it just gets into that habit. And when the numbers are tinier, it feels like it should be easier, but it's the same percentage. Because like you mentioned, like a $10 bill, well, if you're giving $1 and putting $1 into long-term savings, that doesn't seem like a lot. But then if you add a few zeros to it, like in the real world, if it's $1,000 that came in from whatever, job or project, now it's 100, you're like, ooh, wow, okay. So I think that it's kind of getting into that habit and going, okay, here's your 10%, 10% for your tithe, 10% for your savings and your long-term projects. And I think that ingraining that into the kids is so huge. And I love that you focus on the kids, and it's both teaching from the kids the money, but it's also teaching the parents how to teach the kids, right? So it's not only, just hand this book to your kids. You're teaching the parents how to talk about these concepts as well.
Exactly, yeah, because most of us, feel a little bit inadequate when we're talking about money, because, I've never met someone that's like, I have it all figured out, like everybody's like, well, I've made mistakes too. So how do I teach my kids about it when, I've made a lot of mistakes? So how do I tell them not to do it and learn the things that I learned from my mistakes without them actually making the mistakes?
Yes. Yeah. And guess what? I would venture to say that at some point, if the parents had made maybe a mistake financially, whatever that might be, that when the kids are at a certain age that they can understand those things, talk about it. Don't try to hide that. And I've told my kids, and they're all now 17 and 19, 21 and 23. And it's like, guess what? I made me some mistakes. I ran up my credit cards. It did not feel good. So when you get this college credit card here and you use it for, whatever that you need here, please do not run it up. It does not feel good. So talking about mistakes is really important as well. Do you find that when you're talking with your clients too?
Definitely. Yeah. And I think when you're having those conversations ahead of time, then the child then knows what to look for.
Yeah.
When they go on college campus and one of the first things they see is, hey, sign up for this credit card to get a free T-shirt or a free meal or whatever it is. And, then they know, okay, so with this credit card comes some responsibility, and, my dad made some mistakes around this. So how do I avoid, getting in that same trap?
Yes.
So I think that just prepares them better to, when they will face these things, that they'll be ready.
100%. Well, Jamie, I really appreciate you coming on. It's been a real pleasure talking with you. I love your approach talking to kids and families. So what's the best way that people can learn more about you, what you do as a certified financial planner, as well as your books focused on finances and family?
Well, I have a website for my book. It's moneybossmom.com, and that one actually leads you to all the books and how you can purchase them. And then I'm a financial planner at Aspire Wealth Partners, so I do take on clients to help them, organize their financial lives and reach their financial goals. And that website is aspirewealth.com, and it's Aspire spelled with a Y, not an I, so it's a little bit tricky, but aspirewealth.com.
Excellent. Well, I love how the focus that you take, and actually, I really love how the Aspire uses a Y instead of an I because it's focused on you. So I really like that little wordplay as well. So we'll make sure to have the links to both websites into the show notes. And thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks so much, Mike. Pleasure to be here.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.